Welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the show where 64 teams go head to head to see who's the ultimate champion. I am, of course, Commissioner Cory, and we are back with the Week 10, Week 11 updates, and it's getting real. We've got 4 weeks left to football. We have some officially eliminated teams. We have some teams that have secured their spots, safe from punishment, if you will. And so we've got a lot to cover. So we're going to jump right in. But before we get started, just a reminder that we have a contest going on. It is in the show description on all platforms. Make sure you're entered to win. I just got the jerseys. They're actually sitting right there behind me. I've got to open them up and make sure they are good to go. But that contest runs through December 6th, 11:59 Eastern. So make sure you are entered. Follow along on our show on all platforms. Subscribe, like all that stuff. The algorithms appreciate it. We appreciate it, and allows us to keep doing what we do. And this contest is pretty cool because we get to showcase all of the teams. And so we are primarily made of 64 small businesses, give or take a few. And so this contest is about them, and they all have bonus codes. And so if you want to follow them along on social medias, you've got to go seek out their bonus codes. I don't even know how. I know what their codes are. I don't know how they're distributing them. That is something I even have to go look for. So it's a fun one. Go check it out. That link is in the description. And I think Lauren gave away her code on the show on Thursday after watching that one back. But yeah, so let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. All right, week 10 results, week 11 preview. So looking at Division 1, pretty crazy week. You had Bam Bam beating out Avery and Jeff C 76-94 to 70-88. Magic Makers 75-06 losing to General OGFL 102-58. The coach's desk beating out last place winner 77-38 to 74-74. Carswell Golf winning 147-92 to Big Beards 96-96. A lot of duplicate numbers this week. That's weird. Lamb Chops 124.90 beating out the Vibe 100.84. Lamb Chop stays on top in that division. Screaming Pomeranians with a win over Jive Turkey 70-92 to 54-28. Teardown with 112.90 beating out the Lefties 104.24. That's a century loss. And so if you've not been on the show before or not seen the show, first, welcome. Second, what we call a century loss is when a team scores over 100 points and loses. It happens every week. As you can see, there's 3 of them this week in just this division alone. So you hate to see it from a team perspective. Usually we tell people if you score 100 points, you should be expecting to win. Did not happen for these folks this week. But I digress. And so Stat Daddy's the last matchup here, beating out Lambeau Calrissian 95-94 to 83. Let's take a look at your divisions, and there's going to be some pretty big news here. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the rankings, and then we'll talk about what you're seeing on the screen for the first time. So in the number 1 spot still is Lamb Chops, followed by Carswell Golf, the Lefties, Stat Daddies, General OGFL, the Vibe, Teardown, Screaming Pomeranians, Magic Makers, the Coach's Desk, Avery and Jeff C, Lambeau Calrissian, Floyd Beard, Bam Bam, last place winner, and Jive Turkeys. So the way Fantasy Turf War works, if you are new to the show, the top 2 teams in each division, the total of 8 teams, get seeded after Week 14 and get put into an 8-team playoff. So that is what your green are indicating, and your loser in each division, who's ranked 16, is highlighted there in red. Each one has to go through a specific punishment. We have not necessarily released all of that information yet. We teased quite a bit of it on Tuesday night show. But you can see that Jive Turkeys is still sitting in 16th there, so hopefully he can dig himself out, because I secretly want last place winner to get the loss there. This week we do also have our introduction of eliminations, and so this is probably was the case last week, but we're a little bit too far out from the playoffs to start looking at that. So this week we looked at it. So starting at Jeff C, down at team ranked 11 in this division, all the way down to Jive Turkeys. Mathematically, they have been eliminated from playoff contention. They just don't have, in Lamb Chop's worst case scenario and in Jive Turkey's best case scenario, and kind of blend the middle there. They just can't make up the ground, and so they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention. This will grow obviously as we get closer and closer to Week 14. in week 15. But sorry to say, Jeff C., Lambo Calrissian, Floyd Beard, Bam Bam, last place winner in Jive Turkeys, you have been officially eliminated from the playoff contentions. But do not give up because you do not want to find yourself in last place. We are still watching all the lineups to make sure people are still submitting lineups for the week, making sure that no one ghosts those last couple weeks because we all hate that in fantasy football. So don't be that guy, especially if you want to come back next year. Don't be that guy. So all right, let's jump into Division Two, who let the service dogs out with a narrow victory over just Josh, and that's Lauren Hill. She is our host of Fantasy Turf War on Tuesday nights. They were both sweating bullets going into Monday night's game, and who let the service dogs out won by about 4 points, and Lauren just could not come up with it. The Mystics, 37.6, losing to Shady Brady, 143-62. That's a solid win there. Just shy of a record, but it was very close. Team Coco 77.6, losing to Team Smooth 106-94. Sports Idiot Nation 120-38, beating out Southside Stampede. That's a tough loss for him. 81-34. He's been jogging between first and fourth all season long, so it's a tough loss for him there. Mark Manzella 114.5 to Game Time Sports Network 90.72. And I also forgot to mention the 3 century I had that wrong. Reading that wrong. Anyways, Mark Manzella beating out Game Time Sports Network 114.50 to 90.72. Legit Sports Media beating the Ren Zone 88.5 to 67.88. Influencing a win with a big win 99.48 to 82.20. Hopefully that solidifies influencing from being in the 16th ranked spot. And Strange Brew winning with pretty decisive win there over Welker Home Peyton, 93-78 to 35, and he needed that win to keep his playoff chances pretty strongly alive. So let's take a look at those rankings. Who Let the Service Dogs Out remains in first place, and I believe they are the top-ranked two-loss team in the league, followed by Shady Brady, Strange Brew, Southside Stampede, Sports Idiot Nation, Mark Manzella, Team Smooth, The Mystics, Legit Sports Media, Team Coco, Game Time Sports Network, Full Time Fantasy, Influencing a Win, Welker Home Peyton, Just Joshin, followed by the Ren Zone there in last place. And again, you can see Lauren. I apologize. I should have reached out to you or shit talked to you on the show, but you have also been actually both Laurens, Lauren Hill and Lauren Kaler, over at the Ren Zone and Just Josh, and you have both been eliminated from the playoffs as well. Just can't make up the distance at this point, but you are still duking it out for last place there. So don't quit, don't give up, especially if you want to come back next year. So on this side too, I've long said Division Two is one of the toughest, if not the toughest division in the league, just because the caliber of the players. We migrated over to Yahoo, and we had not seen the player accounts and kind of their long term stats of their accounts, and so this is one of the toughest divisions, and that's evidenced by first through fourth. All four of you have been winning this division at certain points of the year and keep trading places, especially in that second spot now. So, really, anybody's guess as to who's going to make the playoffs in this one. It will be a tough one to call coming up to the end here. So, best of luck to all four of you, and I will see two of you in the playoffs. Division 3. Gridiron Goddess with a win 94-90 over Yippee Kaye Justin Tucker 60.28. Dino Sports beating out Gorilla Camp 81.54 to 80.56. That's a very close one there. Bevskins losing 62 even to a 93-58 from Flurry Sports. The Masterpieces 96-14 beating out the replacement. Rad Dad Network 142.58 beating out Marketing Happy Hour Madness 82.5. He remains in number one spot, still putting up monstrous points every week. Big Nick's Energy with a solid win there, 128-12 over Tank Latier 97 even. Tank has taken another loss. Cup of Amen Ramen Noodles 107.52 to Boba Sensei's 96-18. And Jordan Short with a 61-64, losing to the Swamp Kings 113-70. Let's take a look at your rankings. I think there's quite a bit of eliminations here as well. Yeah, almost half this division has been eliminated this week. So let's go down the rankings. You got number 1, Rad Dad Network still sitting top spot, dominant in this league. Not just the division, the entire league. Tankless here is back in second place, so let me actually double check that in a second. Make sure they lost this week. Followed by Bevskins, Flurry Sports, Gorilla Camp, Gridiron Goddess, Yippee Ki Justin Tucker, Boba Sensei, Dino Sports, Swamp Kings, Big Nick's Energy, Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles, The Masterpieces, The Replacement, Marketing Happy Hour Madness, and Jordan Short in last place. And so you can see ranked 10 to 16, you have all been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. It's a tough one. That's almost half the division already out of the game. But again, you can all. There are only a handful of teams that have actually been deemed safe from punishment. There are a total of, I wrote it down. There are a total of 18 teams that are free from punishment. So that leaves quite a bit of the 64 still subject to mathematically being possibly in the worst spot in their division or overall. So don't give up. Yeah, just all I'm going to say. Don't be the team that gives up and then you find yourself trying to pull out a win week 14 to save yourself because it never works out well. Let's see. The replacement was one of the teams that came in about halfway through the season. So while they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention, they are exempt from league punishment if they find themselves in rank 16 at the end of the year, just because that was part of the deal of bringing them in. That's one of three teams. The other two are in this next division here, but yep, that was part of the deal, and they also have an automatic invite to next year. So it's getting interesting, and I will double check to make sure Tank actually lost, as otherwise I'm making stuff up here. And Division 4 for Week 10, we have Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader pulling out another win, again, this time against Cobra Kai, 79.6, beating him 101.60. Downfield Reapers taking a loss, ending his win streak record bid 121-22 to 138-70 by Bees in the Backfield, Renee Neal. The Crush Crew winning 93-48 to Cupertino Deadite 64-04. Cupertino Deadites, it's Dragon Sword. I actually got to meet Zach over the weekend. And yeah, I shaved clearly through this video. You can tell. Doesn't happen very often. Probably won't happen again for a very long time. But didn't recognize me. But it was always good catching up with him. So good seeing you, Zach. Sorry about your loss. And you're not to add fuel to the fire or insult to injury, but your brother won 114-88 to 90.2 against the Cleveland Thunderbolts. The Fantasy Courier podcast took a loss 103-34 to the Cardiacs 113-86. Team Excitement 63-54, losing to Topeka City Troopers 87-12. He is on a win streak tear. We'll see how that one plays out. Diamond Dogs with another loss, 50-58, getting beat pretty handily by Becky Mankin-Olbrecht. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, Figment's crew 147-78. And the Team Ohana Rizzlers beating out Lockdown Fantasy Baseball. Matt, way to bury the lead. I did not notice that you had lost when we were recording the show. You got beat pretty bad, and you had a really low-scoring game, almost a record. So shame. But Lockdown Fantasy Baseball taking a loss this week as well, which hurts him in the rankings. Which nice segue. Division 4 rankings. There are some teams eliminated here, not nearly as many. But let's go down the rankings. You have the Fantasy Couriers, followed by Lockdown Fantasy Baseball, Team Ohana Rizzlers, Downfield Reapers, Bees in the Backfield, Topeka City Troopers, Shiar Shugoths, Cobra Kai, Diamond Dogs, Cupertino Deadites, The Crush Crew, Figment's Crew, Cardiacs, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader in 14th, Team Excitement, and Cleveland Thunderbolts. And so you can see there as well, Julius and Dan have been eliminated officially from the playoffs. Just can't make up the distance. Cleveland Thunderbolts, that's Dan Boyle. He is one of the teams that was not able, or that took over midway through the season and just could not pull out of the deficit, although he's been putting up some good points. Just couldn't make it up, but it's all right. He's exempt from punishment, and he'll be back to defend his honor next year with a proper draft, and he'll actually have to, take it to him. So we'll look forward to seeing that. And Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader pulling out that extra win keeps them alive mathematically, although came down to a Monday night miracle for him, and maybe some well-wished text messages from someone else in this division. He said, "Thank you, by the way." Pulling out that last-minute win on Monday night, and yeah, it's good stuff. And this will start to get closer and closer as we go on. But with the top teams taking losses this week, it makes it a whole lot closer, and no one's clinching yet. So anybody's guess who's going to pull it out in Division 4. All right. So one of the things I like to talk about is the statistics that come out every week. This was actually our worst week ever this season, and well, at least fantasy turf war in general. This was our first season. We have had a record low points across pretty much every division. I think had a record low, um, and one of the divisions actually set the record for the lowest points in a week. So not a good week. Not really sure what to attribute. It was kind of just a blah week in the NFL in general. So let's call it to that. Not the teams themselves. That can be shown here. The average team points in a league this week was a 91.63, so significantly lower than anything we've had all year long. Average team points per division. So we usually tell people if you score 100 points, you should expect to win. This is where that comes from. You should be able to see that in each division. Division one had the closest one so far through the first 10 weeks, 98.66. But everyone's pretty much within the same 1 point differential there. So all very competitive, very equally competitive across the divisions, which is good to see. Another reflection of the same information, but again, 91.62 is the average points per team in the league for the first 10 weeks of the season, and it is the low point so far this year. Highs and lows per division. This has not changed in a few weeks now. Did not change again this week. All these are the same, so you can see that the good weeks are good, the bad weeks are bad. Just depends on what team you're on. And total points. So this is all the points across the entire league. So again, we only put up 5,864 points, which is a stark contrast from a couple weeks ago where we put up almost 7,000. We didn't even cross six this week, so it's a very, very low week for all of us. And it is a record. So let's. Speaking of records, we had a previous record of least points scored by a division in a single week. That was set back in week 7 by any given Sunday. That's Division 2. They had 1477.78, and we have a new record holder. Any given Sunday, breaking their own record. Set this week, 14:15:68. So they're beating it by quite a bit. Not a good week for you guys, but hey, it's a record, so you got your names in the record books. Well, you're going to get it again because we also had a previous record of the entire league with the least points scored in a week, which was 6,013.04 back in week 7 again. So another bad week for us. We have broken that record as a collective league with a 58.64.12, which we just covered. So we didn't even crack 6,000. So not a good week for us. But some people, two people in this league, are actually having the best week ever. And that is Nick Nichols, and that is Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles, and Mark Manzello. You have both climbed 8 spots in the rankings this week. So you are having the best week ever. Congratulations. But that means someone was also having the worst week ever. And this week we have two. Last week we had, I think, 5. Full-time fantasy Matt Brandon and Katie Louise, Welker Home Peyton. You have both dropped 10 spots this week. So not good. I saw some open lineups on these teams. So make sure you're setting them. Don't be the team that doesn't set a full lineup and has to pay the price for it. You drop 10 spots, so you are having the worst week ever. Hopefully, you have a better one next week. This is everyone's favorite part of the show. We have the overall rankings for the entire league, all 64 teams ranked. This is a new format we have. We have a little bit new information here, adding in the eliminated teams. This will continue to update as we get closer and closer. But you can see Dennis Tresca still dominating at 9-1 with a 12.87.22. That is the highest points scored in the league so far. He's got everyone else beat by points and record. But that margin is narrowing quite a bit, and if he is pulls out another loss, then he would not be the number 1 ranked team. So, just saying, it can happen. Never know. Followed by Desmond Ordonez at number 2 with 11.99.54 points scored. Charles Carswell, the last 9-1 team, 11.87.84. So 3 9-1 teams out there. No one is undefeated. Cameron Bassett is the first 8-2 team out there with 11.76, and so he's got a little bit of points to make up if one of the other teams were to take a loss to claim a higher seed. But he can't be upset with his ranking there. I think that's his season high ranking there. DJ Dove, JJ Wang, 11, 20, 70, 8 and 2. They dropped a spot this week, and I believe I'm going to double check these. This is reflecting that they are not in playoff contention, but I'm pretty sure that means that I have messed up my slides because I'm pretty sure Tank and Fantasy Couriers are currently leading their division. So that is my bad. I apologize for that. These are all 8 and 2 teams. So we've got Cameron Bassett, DJ Dove, JJ Wang, Fantasy Couriers, Mike Lanza, Pastor Jack, and Tank Latier. Of note here, Mike Lanza has the lowest points scored against him in the league. So roughly the easiest schedule is what we call it. He's only had 752 points scored against him. Everyone else is in the eights, if not nines, and the thousands plus. So he has had quite an easy schedule, and his ranking reflects that. He jumped 6 points this week, or six spots this week. Ranked 9 to 16, you've got Kevin Beverly, Zach Brunner over at Flurry Sports, Eric Arena, Justin Davies, Matthew Ane, Dan Brown Jr., Teamer Terry, and Matthew Metzbauer. So, Matt, you dropped 5 spots this week with that not good week. We'll say a disappointing week. It's probably fair to say. I think you only put up, 50 points? So you dropped 5 spots down to 13, still leading your division. So keep up the good work there. Hopefully you can turn it around beforehand. Let's see. Eric Arena over at the lefties put up jumped up 5 spots. Flurry Sports jumped up 3 spots, so that's great to see. 17 to 24, you've got Jeffrey Demers over at Downfield Reed dropping 3 spots. Talon Van Horn, T.I., Jonathan Mohan, Sports Idiot Nation, Renee Neal, Joe Knight, Michael Crystal, Susan C., and Michael Brick. Yeah, good to see all these teams competing. Looks like there's been a lot of movement in the middle part of this league, so it's good to see everyone still competing. These teams have not been officially eliminated. The one of note here is Mike Brick is the third team that joined midway through the season. So that little asterisk indicates that if he somehow found himself in the last spot in the division, he's exempt from punishment. So I don't think he's going to have that problem. The other 2 teams that in his situation might not be able to say the same thing, but we'll see how that goes. 25 to 32, Benjamin Fisher, Mark Manzella, Matt Josephs, Timothy Trilk, Vegas Matty, Casey Woolley, Casey Garcia, and Jesse Grund. So, Mark Manzella, you jumped up 8 spots this week. As we mentioned in the previous slide, you're having the best week ever. So, congratulations on that. Keep up the good work. And Jesse, you dropped 8 spots this week. Not sure what happened to the team there, but could be injuries. So, we'll just chalk it up to that. 33 to 40, Nichelle Halleck, Eric Lund, Alex Kaplan, Zach Fisher, Chet Atkins, Gilly Gilmartin, Becky Menken over at MEI Mouse and Travel, and Kurt Swilly. So there's a lot to cover on this slide. A lot of teams jumped up in the rankings. You can see that the first eliminated teams are starting to pop up on the rankings. So Gilly is the highest ranking eliminated team at this point at 38. But it just worked out that his division, he has been mathematically eliminated from making the playoffs. Zachary Fisher, I know we had talked, and you guys secretly hope to just beat each other, referring to your brother. He has you on rankings at this point. I think he is, 25, and you're 36. So you've got some ground to cover if you're going to try and have a nice Thanksgiving. So best of luck to you there. And yeah, lots of movement here. It is interesting to note that there are teams that have only scored about 850, 860, 870 points, and there is a team that's put up over 1,000. 2 of them on this slide have put up over 1,000 and are eliminated. So always interesting to see. 41 to 48, Nick Nichols, Sean Petnati, Matthew Rummick, Cardiacs, Evan, Team Coco, Jay Harper, Matthew Brandon, and Adam Marino. So you have Matt Brandon dropping 10 spots again with the worst week. Nick Nichols with the best week. He has actually been eliminated. So that is kind of shocking to see. It is unfortunate to see. You kind of pull for the guys having the best weeks ever. But again, he has been eliminated with over 1,000 points on his points scored. So that's a tough one to swallow, but I know he fights hard. 49 to 56. So the eliminations are definitely creeping up here. So we've got Sebastian Bassett, Scott Habib, Katie and Jutt, Avery and Jeff C., Matt Brown, Floyd Beard, Lauren Hill, and Brian Gobble. So you have Katie and Jet as the other team with the worst week ever, dropping down 10 spots. Sebastian Bassett is staying alive with that win this week, jumping up one spot to 49, and Scott Habib jumping up four spots to keep his playoff chances alive, at least his hopes of it alive. But as you can see, the rest of this slide, Lauren, our host, has been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So sucks to see, but I know injuries plagued your team, but it happens. 57 to 64. So the bottom tier here, we've got Lauren Kaler, Andy Schiffer, Richard Falls, Julius Adam, Cassie Tucker, DJ Hall, Dan Boyle, and Jordan Short. All of these teams have been eliminated mathematically, although Andy jumped up five spots and traded places with the last place in his division this week. So he is trying to keep his self safe. Himself? Himself? I don't know. It's late. You can also see here at the bottom, Jordan Short has the least amount of points scored with the 589.28, and Cassie Tucker. Let me double check that one, but it looks like she might have the most points scored. Yeah, that's incorrect because I can see that Lauren Kaler has that. So I apologize for that one as well. I will go correct that for next week. But yeah, it is shaping up. We are starting to lose teams, but again, all of these teams can't quit. They still have to participate. Otherwise, they are subject to the league punishment if they find themselves in that last spot. So that being said, let's jump into this coming week's battles. First up, Division One, as usual, the Guinea Pigs. You've got Bam Bam going against Magic Makers. Sean Petnati over at the coach's desk going up against the Lefties. Carswell Golf against Stat Daddies. This is a must-win for both teams if they want to try and solidify their spots in the playoffs. Stat Daddies, you need this win. Carswell Golf, you don't necessarily need it, but it would definitely be beneficial for you to be able to kind of put this one behind you. Yeah, it's a big game. So one featured this week. Desmond Ordonez going up against last place winner. Last place has been eliminated already. Lamb Chops, you are top of your division, so hopefully you can just kind of keep the train rolling through this one. Teamer General OGFL screaming against. Excuse me, going up against Screaming Pomeranians. This is a close one. Tear Down, Michael Crystal against Big Beard. The Vibe against Lambo Calrissian. The Vibe needs this one to stay alive in his playoff chances. And Jive Turkey against Jeff C. So both teams, ranked 52 and 62, are on the bottom part of their division. So this is a featured game because they both need to win to keep themselves out of the bottom. So you don't want to lose this game. So best of luck to you both, and don't lose. Moving on to Division Two, any given Sunday. Again, these guys had their worst week ever of the season, setting a record last week. Let's see if they can turn that one around with Cameron Bassett, who let the Service Dogs out, playing the Mystics this week. Team Coco against Full Time Fantasy. Southside Stampede against Mark Manzella. Mark has had one of the best weeks ever and jumping up quite a bit in the rankings this week. Dan Brown Jr. is trying to turn his week around. He needs this win to stay alive. The Lauren Bowl, the Red Zone, Lauren Kaler against Just Josh and Lauren Hill. Both teams are 2-8. Both teams are on the bottom end of the division. They need to pull out the win here so that they are not fighting for the loser spot. So best of luck to both of you. Lauren, I know you've had a couple of rough weeks. Like I said, both of you, Lawrence, have had a couple of rough weeks. So best of luck to both of you. And let's see who wins the Lauren Bowl. Pastor Jack against Sports Idiot Nation. Both of these teams need a win. Team Smooth against Shady Brady. Shady Brady is sitting in the top two spots of his division. So let's see if Team Smooth can kind of knock him down a peg and keep this competitive. Influencing a win against Legit Sports Media. And Jay Harper against Welker Home Peyton. This should be a good one to watch too. Please make sure you're setting your lineups this week. Not calling anyone out by name, but there were some empty lineups. So don't be that team. Division 3, we have the Goats, Gridiron Goddess against Dino Sports. Both teams are still alive. Yippee Ki Justin Tucker against Bevskins. Gorilla Camp against Flurry Sports. This should be a good one. The Masterpieces against Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles. Both teams are 4-6. I believe Scott is still mathematically in the hunt. Cup of Almond Ramen Noodles has been eliminated. Rad Dad's still sitting on top of the league against Boba Sensei. And Tik Tok against the replacement. Let's see if the replacement can keep this playoff race competitive and take Tink down a peg. That would be fun to watch. Peachtree against Jordan Short. And Swamp Kings against Marketing Happy Hour Madness. And finally, but never least, Division 4, the Monarchs. You've got Sebastian Bassett against Becky Mankin over at Mouse Fan Travel. Both teams are 4-6 and in a similar position of you can't really afford a loss here just to make sure that you're not in the bottom part of your division. Casey Garcia against Team Cardiacs. Downfield Reed against Shiar Shugas. I think it would be safe to say if Shiar loses, they are probably out. I would have to check the record, but cannot afford to lose either team. Downfield, you need that win to just make sure you stay in the race. Cupertino Deadites against the Bees in the backfield. The Fantasy Couriers against Team Excitement. This is a featured game, one, because Fantasy Couriers need to win to keep themselves in the fight. Julius Adams needs to keep himself out of the bottom spot of the league, so he can't really afford a loss. And I believe these guys are good friends, so this should be a good matchup. Chet Atkins against Cleveland Thunderbolts. Jesse Grund and the Diamond Dogs against Team Ohana Rizzlers. And our last featured game, Mike Brick against Locked On Fantasy Baseball, our co-host Matthew Ane. 7-3, 6-4. These are closely ranked teams, very competitive teams. Matt has won 2 of his last 4 games, but Mike, since joining the league, has won his he's gone 4-0 since he's joined the league. So of course he's won the last 4 weeks in a row. So it tells you that this is going to be a pretty heated fight. I expect this one to kind of come down to the wire, so it'll be interesting to see. But this is our official game of the week and one that I'm keeping an eye on. Matt, you need the win to stay alive. Mike, you need the win to stay alive, and should be a very close one. All right, so we have covered quite a bit of territory this week. I know it's a lot of info to process, but we are getting down to the wire. So I have a smaller, separate video breaking down the playoffs that will continue to update. Look forward to releasing that one probably on Friday, if not Saturday. That will give everyone kind of the scenario of what they need to win and start to make some projections. I think we've got an idea of who's going to win the divisions for most of the divisions. But anything can happen in the last 4 weeks. You never know. So follow along. Let us know who you think is going to win. Make sure you are entered into the contest. You have a chance to help not only these small businesses in their actual businesses, but you have a chance to win some awesome prizes, some autographed jerseys, Fantasy Turf War prize packs, some T-shirts, autographed football cards, all kinds of stuff. And then you never know what we might throw in there as well. But also by helping these teams in this contest and doing their bonus codes, you actually are helping them win a prize for themselves or enter for a chance for them to win a prize. There's a separate contest going on there. So would really appreciate if you guys would go out and support some of the teams in the league. They are the ones that are kind of actively participating are in the contest to try and get everyone. So if you are watching and you're part of the league, there is still time to get yourself in. So please reach out to me as soon as possible so we can get in there. We will get you your bonus code. We'll get you set up within a couple hours. We'll get you rolling. Yeah, this is about us giving back to the teams in the league and trying to give away some cool prizes to everyone, not just you at home, but some of the teams. And we appreciate all of your support. Going to make it short and sweet. Trying to get back to the editing room so we can get these interviews out and get those out to you as well. So I appreciate everyone's time. Lauren always says, be excellent, be kind, and remember that you are loved and appreciated. And we will see you all next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.